Good morning and welcome on World Cardmaking Day. So whether you're joining us on our little World Cardmaking Day with the Love-a-Ducklings group, whether you're joining us on my Facebook page, or indeed whether you're joining us on YouTube, it is lovely to have you in. And if you are joining us, do come and say hello. And I hope that you're crafting along on this lovely card making day. If card making is completely new and alien to you and it's not something that you've ever done before, what better a day to introduce you to our lovely hobby than World Card Making Day? Every day is card making day for us, but it's lovely to welcome you in. Morning, Jane. So it's lovely to welcome you in and introduce you to our lovely hobby if you've not done it before. So the idea is over the next however long, I have got a cup of tea by my side and some little nibbles. I hope you have too. And we are going to just do some crafting. And I have chosen a really easy option for me. So I haven't got a whole lot of tools. I haven't got lots and lots of card making paraphernalia. I am going to show you just how easy it is to pick up and start doing some card making wherever you are, whether you're sitting at home and haven't really got any supplies, whether you are on holiday, whether you are somewhere, waiting for an appointment. I have just the thing. But I would love to hear what you are doing and what you are creating at the same time. So do come on and chat. Oh, Jane, your tea always goes cold. Yes, I know. Mine does as well. I make a cup of tea and then it's, an hour later think, oh, I didn't drink that. And good morning to Beryl as well. So do come on and say hello. Do let me know where you are, what you're doing, what you're crafting, and if this is something that you do quite regularly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in my downward facing camera, all being well. There it is, and there is my cup of tea. Let's highlight that camera and get rid of me. There we are. Okay, so as you can see, I have got a cup of tea and I've got a little pot of grapes. I would have had, a cookie or something, but I am trying very hard to be good. Not be good. I keep saying that I'm not going to say about being good or about being naughty. I'm trying to make good choices. So my good choice for today is a little pile of grapes, and it's in a lovely dish that my friend bought me for my birthday yesterday and said it's really pretty. It's got, I think it says special friend on the bottom. I'll find out. I'll remind myself when I've eaten all the grapes. And she said, but it's one of those things, I don't know what you're going to do with it. Well, what I'm going to do with it, Joe, is I'm going to fill it with grapes for my little side snack to go with my crafting this morning, because you need something to keep you going while you're crafting, don't you? So got my tea, got my grapes. Morning, Lee. Yes, I did have a lovely birthday yesterday. So let me grab the equipment that I have got out from the crafting this morning. Happy World Card Making Day to you too, Karen. The equipment I've got is a pair of scissors and possibly a block, but I might not even need that. So that is it. That is all I have taken out of all of my tools and equipment. This is me. So if you are joining us on the World Card Making Day group and you've never come across me before, my name is Helen Jennings, and the World Card Making Day group is being brought to you by the Love-a-Ducklings team, and I am Mummy Duck. So I am delighted to be sort of the team leader of the Love-a-Duckies team. So yeah, I am indeed Mummy Duck, and you can find me everywhere on social media under the name of Love-a-Duckie, whether you're looking for me on YouTube, on Pinterest, on Facebook, on Instagram, and this is my website, www.loveaduckie.co.uk. And as we play along today, and if you're joining in with any of the other challenges and things we've put up on the group, if there's anything that you see that you would like to get your hands on in terms of adding to your crafty collection, then either chat to the member of the team who who sort of brought you into the group if you're in the group, or reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to help you. If you're here in the UK, I can help you to shop, as can any member of my team. If you're not living in the UK, do still just drop a message if you don't know where to find a demonstrator, and we will try and endeavour to help you with that as well. So what am I going to play with this morning? I have got a couple of kits here. Now, we've got quite a nice little selection of kits going on here at Stampin' Up. And these kits are all inclusive kits, which is why the only thing that I need is a pair of scissors and possibly a stamp block. Now, these kits here, so the one in the brown box, they're really lovely sturdy boxes. This is one of the Stampin' Up kit collections kit, and these are all inclusive kits, and I'm going to have a little look at this and a bit of a play with this. So you do get all your cardstock, you get a stamp set, and in these kits you get a little block. I said I might only need a block, because if you're using these kits you do get this little block, and obviously once you've had one of these kits you're going to have this little block to keep and hang on to. So those are really lovely little kits. This is a paper pumpkin kit. Now, paper pumpkin, the history of paper pumpkin was that it was first released in the US and it's in Canada, and you can buy it over there as a subscription, so you can subscribe and get it every month. We don't have the subscription offering over here in the UK. Obviously, if you are in either the US or Canada, reach out to demonstrators and you will be able to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin. We don't have that option here, but as a special treat, we do get them released. We get certain ones released to us on a worldwide market basis. And this is one that released a couple of weeks ago. So this is the other kit that I've got out to play with. So I've got my Paper Pumpkin kit, which is an all-inclusive kit, but doesn't include a block. So if you're just having this kit, you will get the stamp set, but you won't get a block. So you will either need to get yourself an acrylic block, or find something that you could use, you know, to take the place of it. You would need something with a really good solid base that you would be able to use, bottom of a glass or something that's got a good solid, flat, solid base on it. Obviously the blocks are best. So the best thing to do is to order yourself 2 kits, so that one of your kits has got a block in it. But let's have a little look, and I'm just going to have a bit of a play. As you can see, I've not started stamping or creating with any of these kits. I'm going to have a bit of a play with this one while I drink my tea. I would love to hear what you're crafting along at the same time. This is all about coming and joining in with you on this World Cardmaking Day as we craft along together. So as always with our kits, I have taken all the bits and pieces out, but I haven't yet taken out the instructions. The other really good thing about these kits is that they always contain a piece of board like this. Now, don't just throw that in the bin. That is useful for so many things. If you want to start creating memory books and those sorts of things, or doing some bits of home decor, or there's all sorts of things that you can do with this board. I have a nice little selection of it. Don't throw it away. It's sort of like the bits that you get on the back of your packs of DSP. My husband actually has borrowed some of that this week, or taken some of that this week, to try and make some arms for a windmill for a harvest display. So there is no telling when you might need that. The other thing that's in here that you're not going to want to get rid of is some nice white tissue paper. Now that's really fabulous. It's fabulous for wrapping up presents and all those sorts of things, but there's also techniques that you can be doing with that as well. There are card making techniques. You can add stamp on it and add decorations to wax candles, all sorts of things that you can do with white tissue paper. So whatever you do, don't throw that away either. You want to put that in a safe place. And in fact, what you could do is you could store these magic things in one of your boxes when you've finished your kit, because that's the other question I have. What does everybody use their boxes for when they finish their kit? I'm sure lots of people have got them stacked up with all sorts of things in. But yeah, what do you use? What would you use your box for when you'd finished it? Obviously, you could decorate it and use it to to send a gift. That would be rather lovely. Now this particular kit is the Expressions in Colour kit, and it does coordinate with the Expressions in Ink papers and suite that we have in our main catalogue. So it is sort of does coordinate, so you can use it and carry on using those stamp sets, or if you really love these papers, get some more that are similar just by going to that kit, that suite in the main catalogue. Apologies if you can hear rain. I'm working in my conservatory. It is sort of gently raining. We haven't got a downpour at the moment, but you might hear that pitter patter on the roof, so apologies for that. So this is our paper pumpkin kit, and as you can see, we've got all of these lovely instructions in here that are going to help us to make up our card. So it tells you things like what your kit contains, what colours in the Stampin' Up range it coordinates with. You've got some sort of a little kit there, QR code that you can scan and watch detailed instructions. You've got some ideas for other things that you can be doing with your bits in your kit and with your stamp set. Sorry, that's gone blurry. So lots of things on your leaflet, as well as your instructions, and these instructions are really sort of nice and simple, and you know, step by step. There's your block, there's your stamp, there's your ink up your stamp, stamp onto your label. Here's your little sequins. You need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them to go on the front here, and that's got some, so these hexagonal shape are our dimensional foam pads that you'll find in your kit. So put a couple on there. These are our little glue dots. Put some of those on there. So you get this step-by-step instructions all the way through. You've got a fabulous little stamp set. And obviously that's something else you could do with your box. You could have lots of kits, collect all the kits. If you don't do any other stamping, you could just collect your kits and store your stamps in your little box, and then that gives you a whole range of different greetings and things. This one's got sending hugs, congratulations, thanks. You've got many thanks. Thanks for everything. You are amazing. And you've got this nice blobby stamp just here, and then you have got this sort of little detailed flowery stamp down here. A little flower, a tiny little flower, and a bit of a foliage bit there. So lots of lovely stamps in that stamp set. Let me move that mouse out of the way so I don't accidentally stop. Now, I am aware that on my screen that keeps freezing. I hope that's not doing it for you. We've got 2 stamping spots in this one. We have an evening evergreen, which is this lovely, really dark green just here, and we have a bumblebee, which is this lovely bee coloured yellow. So 2 lovely stamping spots. So you've got 2 little ink pads as well. That's what the stamping spots are. You've got your envelopes, and you've got 3 of one size and 6 of another, because this kit makes up 9 cards. We shall do just 1 of each, I think. You have some really lovely little holographic sequins in here, sort of iridescent, not holographic, iridescent sequins, really pretty, picking up those rainbows of colours as they hit the light. You've got your little pad of dimensionals, and you might not be able to see, there we are, you can see them better there as I sort of bend that and crack them slightly. That's a little back of the 3D dimensionals of foam pads. We've got a spool of evening evergreen thread just there. And then we have our elements for our cards. So what I'll do is I'll take 1 each of these and pop the others back in my box for now. So we've got this sort of evening evergreen alcohol ink technique background just there. And so the designers of this kit have actually done some alcohol ink techniques, and that is what they have, how they have designed their original project, and then it's just been reproduced for us so that we don't have to get messy. This is the paper pumpkin, Angie, the really pretty box. the Expressions in Colour paper pumpkin that was released a couple of weeks ago. So that's that one. We have some vellum pieces, so there's sort of white printing on vellum, which is really beautiful. So it gives the impression of some embossing, or that somebody's been very busy with doing a bit of pergamano. Then you've got some more white on vellum. So we've got this flower image here, which I'm just going to, so it just pops out. Just going to gently pop that out of that background sheet. And then we have this greeting in both English and German and French. So if you're sending a card to somebody elsewhere that speaks one of those other languages, you have your option. But I'm just going to pop out my thanks and pop the rest back in my box. Then we've got these die cut, laser cut, ready to pop out elements, and again they have been sort of created with an alcohol ink effect. I was watching a demonstrator this morning doing some alcohol ink backgrounds and die cutting from them. So that is what the designers have done, and then used that to create these beautiful printed elements ready just to pop out. And let's pop out this final one, and we'll pop the others away. And we have some of these labels, and you can see that they give you plenty of these labels. So, you know, if you're worried that you might make a mistake, it's okay, because you've got spares. These are glue dots on here, this funny sheet. So you'll find, oh, you'll find, Jackie, you can come in whenever you like. You'll find that these have got like a paper layer on the top. So you need just to take off that paper layer, and you'll find that that's a glue dot. Then you've got these little tiny banners just here. I'm just popping one of each out of those. I'm just assuming you need one of each. And then we have our card bases. So this one has got all these purples and pinks on, fresh fuchsia on the back, card base, really pretty. Then the slightly smaller card base is just a plain evening evergreen one. And then we have a plain Bumblebee card base just there. Right, so let's have one each of the envelopes. Well, we'll have two of these envelopes because they're the same size. Okay, so I'm going to start off. I'm just going to make these cards up as they are on the instructions. Now, as I say, this is a lovely way of making card making. If you know you fancy having a go and you haven't got any supplies, this is a really lovely way of getting started. But equally, if you've been card making like me for years, but you want something to take away on holiday with you, or because you've got to do an overnight stay in hospital, or because you know you've got to go and sit for an appointment and then you're going to be sitting in the waiting room for hours, or you just want to go and sit in a coffee shop with a nice coffee and do something, these kits are fabulous because you can just pick them up and take them with you and do them on the go. They're also fabulous if you want to get together with a group of friends. Really good in our sort of current COVID climate, because everybody can have their own kit. You're not needing to share any equipment. Everybody can have their own little set of things, and you can create together without having to share your germs, which is something we're all very keen to do at the moment. Right, okay. Which one shall we start with? just pop that just there. And let's buried my instructions right in the bottom of my box. So let's start with this card just here. So we've got our pretty card base. We've got this sort of vellum florally image. We have got one of these labels, and we shall want some of our sequins, and we shall want some of our thread. Right, so with our thread, it says we need to cut 26 inches or 66 centimetres. Now, the really lovely thing about these instructions is if you look at the side, you will see that you have centimetres and inches. So whichever is your measurement of choice, and we want 66 centimetres. So that's 22. So that's really useful, isn't it? So I want 1, 2, 3 times the length of that centimetre gauge. So let's snip that off in the scissors. So that is our piece of thread. Now it says to turn over our vellum. So decide, I don't know whether it makes any difference which is the right side and which is the wrong side. I think this is the wrong side, and it is saying to put 3 glue dots down here. Now the reason that it's saying to put 3 glue dots down there is because glue dots, vellum is quite difficult to stick to things because whatever adhesive you use, it does tend to show through. So by putting those 3 little glue dots where it suggests, which as we can see is sort of with that flower coming like that, it's sort of about here on these leaves here. Now the reason it's suggesting that we put it there is that when we put the card together, one, vellum is quite light, so it doesn't need a lot of heavy adhesive, but when we come to put the card together, our stamped label is going to cover those glue dots. So I've stuck those glue dots down, and then I'm going to take off the paper backing. 1, 2, 3. So if you're looking at that and thinking, what? There really is method in their madness. Now I'm just looking to decide. We're going to put our thread on first. I'm going to wrap this round twice and tie with a little bow just on this end. The other reason I really like these kits, if like me, you spend your time designing classes and things for other people, this feels like it's something that somebody has designed for you. If you've never created a class before and you would like to get together with a group of people and do something, these absolutely allow you to do that. Suddenly you could be running a little craft group with a group of friends, and the Stampin' Up designers have done all of the work for you. I'm just going to spread that twine out a little bit and have a bit of a tweak on this end so we're happy with our bow. Right, now we're going to bring in our flower with our dots on, and we're going to stick it this way. Just because we put the dots on that way, we're actually going to stick it this way. Bring that twine up a little bit, about there. And press down where those glue dots are, and that has now attached to our card. Let's bring in our little label, and they've used the greeting that says "You are amazing." Now, I'll use my block here, but I could equally have used the block from the other kit. To say, I'll just find something that's quite nice and solid but flat if you really haven't got anything else. And we're going to use the Bumblebee ink. So let's just take my scissors and run it along there. I'm not going to open the other side because that then has got a nice little hinge to keep my block intact. These little ink spots are really good if you have a stamparator. So if you're a more experienced crafter and you have a stamp positioning tool, really useful. I'm actually going to stamp this onto my grid paper just because it is the first time this stamp has been stamped, and sometimes you need just to add a bit of ink to them a couple of times and condition them if you're going to get a good image. But that looks to me as if it's all good. Occasionally there's still some of the release agent on there from the process. Now I wiggled that. Did I get away with it? Yes, I did. You are amazing. You are indeed. Right, okay. Let's bring in our dimensionals. So our 3D foam pads. And let's put a couple of those on there. Let's have a grape. That is not on the instructions, or is it an essential part of creating this card? Right, let's pop that on there. And last but not least, we've got 5 of these little sequins to go on here. Now you can see I haven't even dug out a pickup tool or anything. You can have, if you've got pickup tools, you can use those for your sequins. You can just use your fingers. I'm just using the edge of my scissors. Let's have a couple over here. And we'll have one down here. So there we are. You are amazing. There's card number 1. Now, there's nothing to say that for another card you could make all 3 cards the same, or you could start playing around. I mean, you know, turn your card round, have your flowers going a different way, sort of have some twine looped underneath your greeting, swap out the greeting, stamp your greeting in green. If you've got some of the cardstock and things, add a cardstock layer at the back. There's all sorts of things that you can be doing, but that is just creating the cards as per the instructions. And you could whiz out 3 like that really quite easily, along with a cup of tea or a glass of wine and a couple of friends. Lovely. Cheers. Have a slab of my tea. And then let's go on to card number 2. And card number 2 is the little early evergreen one. Early evergreen. Evening evergreen. That's its early evening evergreen. Who knows? But it's that card. Now, we've got here a picture of our blocks. I'm just going to clean this stamp up. Now, cleaning your stamps, I have lots of little bits. I've got my stamp cleaner here. I sprayed a little while ago, so we spray it one side with our spray and rub your stamp on the damp side and then on the dry side. And we've also got some simply chamois for cleaning up your stamps. You can use baby wipes, make sure they're alcohol free. You can just use water. And so cleaning up your stamps is nice and easy, but quite important. Now, for this one, we've got two stamps here. We've got this floral image just here, and we have this little flower just here. I'm going to do the bigger one first, and then I'll show you a bit of a trick with that one as well. And we're going to take our background that has already been created for us. Let's open up. Did I get that? No, I didn't. Got you this time. Open up our stamp block. Let's ink up this floral stamp with our Evening Evergreen. Perfect. Now, I don't know if you can see, but in the background here, ridges with this flowery stamp. Let's do those first. And let's have this one. Number 3. So we've got a variety of little flowers on the background there. Just going to put this stamp to one side for now. Now then we need to use this little flowery stamp just here. Now if you have a whole collection of stamp blocks, you would not use this stamp block for that little stamp normally, because the best thing to do is to find a stamp block that is about the same size as your stamp, or as near as you can, just because it prevents rocking. If I take these two off, if I put that on, that block will rock. So what you can do if you have only got one block is add some other little stamps to each side of your block, and that will just balance it out. Because if your block rocks, that does sometimes mean that you get like some double imaging and things, and just by putting those little stamps on, it does help. And of course, because what you don't want to do is ink them up, and because we've got our nice little stamping spots, we're not going to catch that ink on those little stamps. We'll make sure that we don't. I'm just going to add in a few of these little ones. Just stamping up in the background, and there's no reason why you can't go off the edge. So we're just adding some stamped detail to that floral image. Now on this picture just here, there is also some really little tiny flowers, which is this one just here. So I'm going to pop the little one in the centre. Let's clean this one up because we don't want any ink on it. And we'll add that in to balance out our block. And let's ink up that ditzy one. And we're going to add in some of these as well. Just to prove you can, don't be frightened to play. And the nice thing about these instructions is they give you the confidence to start, and then you can very soon be going, well, actually I don't want that greeting, or I don't want that flower, or I want to do that in a different colour, and away you go. There we go. So that's our stamping on that background piece. Now our instructions say take 4 glue dots and put one on each corner. So that's what we'll do because we're being good and following instructions. You could have added dimensionals to this and raise it up a little bit. You'd have wanted to give it a bit more dimension. And last but not least, number 4. And here we have our card base. I want to line that up and pop that on there. So the next thing we're going to bring in is our, she says hopefully, our thanks. What have I done with my thanks? Where has my thanks gone? Put that envelope like that. There it is. So we have our vellum thanks, and the instructions suggest we put 3 along the bottom here. So 3 glue dots, so towards the bottom of the A, the bottom of the N, and the bottom of the S. And again, I think our greeting panel will come in over the top of that. And hide where we have placed those glue dots. You can get this sort of effect of the white on white vellum by heat embossing in white embossing powder if you have some of it, but also if you just if you go onto the back of a piece of vellum and emboss with an embossing tool, it will also turn it white. There's my little tiny sentiment strip. Here it is, just here. So we've got our thanks, and onto that we need to stamp for everything in Bumblebee. So let's take these little stamps off of here. We don't want to lose them. And let's pick up for everything. I'm going to lay that down on my side with the raised stamp piece downwards, because then I'm just going to pick that up on my block. So it does help prevent the stamp, because it's quite a long thin stamp. If you're laying it on the block the other way around, there is the danger that it will curve slightly or go a bit wonky. If you've laid it on the side and allowed it to find its own level almost, it should be straighter. There we go. Give another test stamp for everything. These stamping spots are nice and juicy. Let's come in the centre there. For everything. In fact, that was a bit too inky on that side, so it looks a bit like pour everything. So let's go and find a spare one. See, there was a reason we wanted a spare one. I shall pop that one back in because I can use the other side or pieces of card, two sides on them. I'm just going to wipe the excess ink off of that. Make sure there isn't any fluff on there. That looks better. Definitely for everything this time. Okay, let's pop our two dimensionals on the back of our label. One this end and one that end. Let's not put it on upside down. And we'll add that over here just so it covers up. Not to cover up too much, but covers up where those ink dots were. And then this one, another 5 sequins. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll have one just down here underneath there for everything. And then we have a thanks for everything card and a little envelope for it to fit into. So these are the size of our little note cards that we do, that are 3.5 inches by 5 inches. Really useful little size, especially for thank you cards. They're just perfect. Right, let's head to our last but by no means least card. So what have we got left? We have our nice Bumblebee card base. We have this beautiful piece of vellum with this white foliage background on, and we have our floral pieces that we'll have a play with in a minute. So we're going to start by putting some glue dots on here. So the suggestion is that we put 4 glue dots in the middle of this panel somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take those backs off. Now you'll find all the different kits on the Stampin' Up shop, on the Stampin' Up website. Fancy having a go at a kit, and there are all different sorts. all different occasions. Some of them even don't have stamps in at all. Some of them are just pop out elements that you can put together without needing to stamp anything, if that's something that terrifies you slightly. Right, let's take our floral pieces, and these suggest one little glue dot in the centre of each. So about there and about there and right in the centre of that one. So I'm just trying to see which ones go which. So I think the pink one needs to go on first. I'm going to have that. So it sort of comes down the centre of our card, just here. And then we're going to take the purpley one. I'm going to have that about there. Then we've got the green one. And the green one is going to sit I think all of those need to come over just slightly. Can I just ease those off just slightly and ease them over this way? I haven't quite got the space for that to come in on that side. And it's to bring that about there, like that. Then we are going to take 30.5 centimeters of our thread. So let's bring in our instructions again. We managed to stamp a nice little greeting on there. So this is 22 to there. So we need another 8.5. It's actually 12 inches. So if you've got a piece of 12 by 12 paper, it's the length of a piece of 12 by 12 paper. And then we are going to tie that into a nice big bow. And we'll have a bit of a glue dot. I'm actually going to put my glue dot in the centre here. Take that off. And we will add that in the centre there. I think actually that this card should have been my little one, and this one is my big one, but that's all right because we've got spare. So I'm going to take the congratulations I'll take that on a bit of an angle. Obviously, again, if you happen to have selection of blocks. You can choose a different block. I did think that other greeting looked quite small on that big long. And then to attach that so that this bit of the bow comes upwards and this bit comes downwards, I think. A bit of a tweak with that. And we will put some dimensionals on the back of there. And put that across the centre. And then add in some of our sequins. It's really pretty, this one, isn't it? So as with all embellishments and things, you should never do them in even numbers. They should always be odds, so 3s, 5s, 7s if you're feeling particularly decadent and crazy. But there we are. Those are the 3 styles of cards. Obviously, I have only done one of each. There are 3 of those, but as I say, you can then start playing around and changing the orientation and what you do with these. They don't all have to be exactly the same. So if you are a confident card maker that's been creating things for a while, you may want to play around with them a bit more, or use your stamp set for other things. Obviously, once you've finished your cards, you can then use your stamp set to create other things. You know, that's there then for you to keep, and you've got your ink blocks as well. So there's some really lovely little bits and pieces there. So those are those 3 cards out of the paper pumpkin. But the other kit that I grabbed, because of course we are now into October and I'm sure you're all busily creating for Christmas. So that's not been forgotten. Now there are 2 styles of cards in this one, so let me take out 2 envelopes. And let's bring out all the bits and pieces, and then I can put back the excess. Again, we've got our nice piece of card there. And we have our instructions. And this is the Christmas Whimsy card kit. Really sweet, 2 different styles of cards. We've got all these little elves and pieces to pop out that we can put on our cards. Yeah, so really cute. So this time we've got a Night of Navy stamping spot. So already, if you'd ordered these 2 kits, you've already got 3 different coloured inks. You've got a yellow, a blue, and a green. So there's a good selection of inks to have. We've got some 3D dimensionals. This time we've got mini ones. We've got these sort of fun stars and snowflakes in sort of a holographic-y blue. Some more glue dots. Our stamp set has got a season's greetings, Merriest Christmas to you, wishing you peace, joy and love now and throughout the coming year. So 3 really lovely Christmas greetings that would, you know, take you on to lots of other Christmas cards that you could create. You've got a little stamp here that gives you some snowflakes, and a stamp here that gives you a splattering of stars. So again, both really useful. We've got some gold stars here, and these are actually adhesive backed sticky gold stars. We've got some labels, and again we've got plenty, so that if we do make a mistake, we've got more. So we've got an oval one, and a more traditional tag shape. We have two card bases. One has this tree printed on it with gold foiling baubles. And with this kit you can make 4 of each style of card. And the other style of card is like this snowy landscape. Let's put those to one side. And then we've got these sheets of pop-outs. So let's take this elf. I did comment the other day that she does look a little bit precarious balanced at the top of that tree, and that I feel sure that Elf and Safety really haven't been involved in okaying that method of decorating the tree. I'm sure they would be gasping with horror. Right, there's another little elf just there, an elf pulling along this huge stack of prezzies. So again, your instructions will tell you coordinating cardstock colours. Let's pop away our excess envelopes. And we've got some gold thread in here. A bit like Christmas, isn't it, opening up these kits? Right, so which one is it going to have us starting with? So the top picture is telling you what you should have and what you'll need for each card, and then the next ones are your instructions. So the first one is our background just here, and the first thing you need to do is give some snowflakes in that sky. So let's find our snowflake stamp. And as I said, with these kits you do get a block, so it's thinner than our standard block, still has its Stampin' Up logo on the side there, still a authentic Stampin' Up block. We are going to ink up, and I'm going to stamp it once and twice. That probably doesn't tell you that on the instructions, but I am just stamping once and twice because that gives you different colour. You can see there's 2 tone then on your snowflakes. That is known technically in the business as first and second generation stamping. So if you ever see somebody referring to first and second generation stamping, that is what it is. I think. Squeeze another one in there without overlapping. Yes, and then we'll do a second generation. Yeah. Okay, so now we have the beautiful snowy background on our card. Then it says in picture form, take this elf and put some dimensionals on, and take this elf pulling a sledge and put some dimensionals on. So we're going to put a couple on here. So one will fit, squeeze just about on that head area, and we'll put another one in the centre. And again, squeeze one in up there, one here, and then we'll have some running down the length of these presents. You obviously need this to be sort of well balanced and supported once it's on your card base. Let's take off these backs. And let's position that elf about there. And this one following behind. That last little present obviously wouldn't fit on that sleigh. So now we're going to take our label, pop out the little hole that's in there. I'm going to take Merry Christmas to you. Very Merry Christmas to you and you. Let's go to wet that block on there for a minute because I do have a bit of smudgy ink on there. Let's just do a test stamp. If you've never stamped before, you want to take your ink and tap, tap, tap all over the top of your stamp. Don't squidge it. If you played post offices when you were a child and you push the stamp down into the ink, don't do that, because you will just get ink everywhere and it will transfer onto your card. So tap, tap, tap. Like patting a baby's bottom, not squashing a fly. That's how it should be tapped. And then put it on your cardstock, giving it good even pressure. You don't need to push down very hard. And then inserting your own name. Say, Helen is wonderful, Helen is wonderful, Helen is wonderful. And that is just enough time for that ink to come off of the surface of your stamp and soak into the surface of your ink. Right, so now we need 7.6 centimeters of gold thread. 7.6? I wonder how utterly important that 0.1 is. I suspect not very. So as long as you've got it to around about 7.5, I'm sure that 0.1 of a centimetre is not going to make much difference. Okay, so we've got our label here. What we're going to do is thread that through there like that. And it looks like we want it to almost loop around the back of our parcel. Or is it just going to lie? I think it's just going to lie around the back of our parcel. But we could tie a knot in the end and loop it over the top of the parcel, but I'm just going to tie a knot in the thread, I think. Possibly even a double knot, just so it stays. And then let's take a couple of mini dimensionals on the back of there. I'm going to have one going around the back and one going around the front, and have it coming up this way like that. What I might do, take a little glue dot. And pop it on there. Take the back off it, and then I'm going to scrunch it up a little bit. Give it sort of like a line of glue dot. Stick that down like that. Perfect. Okay, and now we're going to take little snowflakes. So we want 5 little shimmery snowflakes. And where are we going to put those? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One tucked underneath. One tucked under there. I've just got some shimmery snowflakes around our greeting there. So there's our one little card. How cute is that? And you've got that sort of 3D element. Really beautiful, nice and crisp and white inside, ready for you to stamp. And a beautiful envelope with gold foiling. How fancy and impressive does that look going through the post? Looks like a royal invitation or something. And our second little Christmas card, so this is just the 2 styles of cards. Let's have a grape. But you've got enough supplies to make 4 of each. For this one, we're going to take the starry stamp. I will clean all my stamps up when I've finished, I promise. And we'll just add some stars around our tree. And I think we'll do one more coming down here. We've got some starry night going on in the background there. Now we're going to take our elf just here, and we're going to take one of these sticky gold stars. Let me grab my scissors. And we are going to add the gold foil star to the top, so that she's actually leaning over to put her star on the tree, untipped. Just a health and safety nightmare. Right, okay, let's stop worrying about this elf falling off of her tree, off of her ladder, and give her some dimensionals. Perhaps that will help her stay in place. We'll have some coming down the ladder. A couple at the bottom here. can see why they chose mini dimensionals for these ones rather than the big dimensionals. So if you have got some crafty equipment, you could be doing stars in the background with some, I don't know, white embossing, gold embossing. Let's put her there, balancing her with her star, ready to go on the top. Then we're going to take this little oval one here, and this time I'm going to use the Season's Greetings. So the kits aren't just for Christmas. You can get them with birthdays and mail ones. You can get little bits of some little treat packaging, little sets of cards with boxes and things that you could make up and give the finished article as a gift. So you could have fun creating it and then give it to somebody else as a Christmas present or something. The kits themselves make fabulous presents. So if you're looking for a crafty present for somebody. Right, 20.3 centimetres it says. So we'll take that as being just a smidge under 20.5. Official term, obviously. I'm going to tie a bow with this. Oh, that was very wonky. It is not the easiest thread in the world to work with because it is almost quite tubular. If anything, that's worse, Helen. Dear oh dear, that's gone from bad to worse, hasn't it? That's looking a tad better. What we want this to do is to sit behind this greeting on a bit of an angle, so it's going out the top and out the bottom a little bit. So a bit like that. So we want a couple of glue dots on the back of our greeting, which is how we're going to secure our bow down. So one slightly below center on that side and one slightly above center on that side. So we can then fiddle with this bow a little bit. So it looks very odd on the back, but yeah, that's okay on the front. So let's put a couple of dimensionals in. So we'll go opposite ways, and that will help to keep that bow under control. Not to hide too many of our gold spots on there. And then we're going to use some stars for this one. again, a gold foiled envelope. This pristine white inner to write your greeting. And there we have 2 Christmas cards created. And as I say, you've got enough supplies in your box to make 4 of those, and then you'll perhaps have little things left over. You may have a few stars, you might have a bit of gold thread, but you're definitely going to have your stamping spot and your stamp set that you're going to be able to use to create a few more things. Just grab some of our cardstock or some of our e-notebook cards, and the world's your oyster. You can be creating your own Christmas cards. But as I say, if you are an experienced stamper, they're just a lovely way, a really nice chilled way of doing some crafting, sitting in front of the telly or whatever, because it's almost like no think crafting. You're not having to design on the hoof, you're just getting to do the pretty bit. So yeah, really lovely for just those chilled out sessions. And oh gosh, yes, Jake, because Jane, you're in Oz, so it's bedtime for you. It's middle of the day here for us. So yeah, so really great. So do check out all of our kits, because there are some really lovely things there for you to discover. Yeah, so if you're not a card maker, you soon could be. And if you are a card maker, they're just a great way to have a play. So I hope you have all been crafting along with me. Do share what you've been doing, post up some pictures, make sure you're posting into the group what you've been creating today, and watch out at 1 o'clock. Sorry, I've got a grape in my mouth. Watch out at 1 o'clock when the first post will be going up for a mystery stamping this afternoon. And if you are elsewhere in the world and it's too late, do go back in tomorrow if you've joined on that group and go and find it, and you can still go step by step and do some mystery stamping. So we've got a mystery stamping challenge going on from 1 o'clock, so about 3/4 of an hour, 40 minutes or so. The first instructions will go up with the supplies of what you need to craft along with that mystery card making challenge. Yeah, do keep posting what you're doing on this World Card Making Day. Thank you for joining me. Just grab my mouse. As I say, it's about lunchtime here, so I think it's time to break for lunch before we get ready to do some mystery stamping this afternoon. But do keep enjoying World Card Making Day, and if there's anything that I can do to help, do get in touch, drop me a message. I would love to assist you in your card making. So yeah, have a lovely rest of the day, and I will see you all very soon.